He's the man behind some of the most famous pictures in Sioux City's history.
You probably never heard of Philip Waltermire, but more than likely you have seen his work. He is the focus of today's hometown history. December 23, 1904. Christmas decorations catch fire in the Pelletier department store, quickly destroying 2 blocks of downtown Sioux City.
The actual only photograph of that fire, while it is a fire, not just ruined buildings, was taken by Philip Waltermire.
Tom Monson of the Sioux City Public Museum says Waltermire, who was born in New York State, lived in Ashland and Lincoln, Nebraska before being coaxed to Sioux City by his brother-in-law, David McGee, seen here on the Sioux City hillside.
David McGee was very active in the Sioux City business community, and in the 1890s was actually serving as the mayor of Sioux City.
Waltermire's primary business was portraits, but his eye didn't stop there.
Some of his first images are of the Corn Palace festivals.
Waltermire set up a home studio in Riverside Park near the Big Sioux River. The park was a hub of activity. Interstate fairs with their trapeze and other acts drew massive crowds, as did the Ringling Brothers Circus in 1903, bathing its elephants in the river. Excursion boats like the Ida Blanche toured the Big Sioux and the Missouri River. There were 2 boat clubs that featured sculling teams and other sports. A 105-pound catfish was the big one that didn't get away in the Big Sioux. But maybe the most eye-catching photo is the famous diving elks, who plunged off a 40-foot-high platform into the Big Sioux River. Besides the Pelletier fire, Waltermire also captured other heartbreak.
There was a Floyd River flood in 1892. Many of our photos of that flood are from Waltermire.
Waltermire's wife, Rose, was also trapped for hours in the rubble of the Oscar Rupp Drug Company collapse of 1918, plummeting from her 3rd-floor business. 39 people died.
She was a career woman. She also had a profession, which was kind of unusual in the late 1800s into the 1900s. She owned a costume shop.
The 1804 death and gravesite of Sergeant Charles Floyd of the Lewis and Clark expedition drew little recognition, as you can see in this photo. But 90 years later, work began on a monument to honor the only person to die in the expedition. And Philip Waltermire was high atop the 100-foot-high obelisk to take this photo when it was capped in 1901. Waltermire also took a little-seen photo of Sergeant Charles Floyd. Now, this is believed to be the skull of Sergeant Floyd. The photo taken in 1895 when Floyd's grave was moved to more stable ground along the banks of the Missouri River, away from the river. It was moved again later and became, as you saw, part of the Floyd Monument.